Hey, this is CrossFitTracking.com here for the CrossFit review for the Apple Watch Series 4. The number of good things about the watch and a number of things to touch on that need to improve. I'll go through the good things first. From an overall fit and functionality for a workout, it felt very comfortable on the wrist, didn't feel like it got in the way. I didn't have a problem with buttons getting pressed, slide it up a little bit further on the wrist to avoid wrist straps or hand wraps for heavy duty pull-ups or bar work. Didn't have any problems there, and you can lock the screen. Is it chest strap capable? Yes, that was one of the few things that I felt like was a big plus, was that you can link it to a Bluetooth connected heart rate monitor to more accurately track the heart rate, because most optical sensors fail with a lot of flex in the wrist throughout a workout. So overall fit and functionality for workout was good. Ease of use during a workout. Obviously the screen is one of the best screens on the market. I found it to be excellent or easy just to control, to be able to see general stats. The screen is obviously very easy to look at, and it's easy to turn the wrist up and see what stats you're performing at that time. So everything worked well there. The heart rate obviously tracked well. As far as optical heart rate monitors go. Durability of the watch overall, I feel like it's got a solid durability to it. Obviously the screen bubble is a bigger concern. The Apple Watch Series 4 is a thinner diameter, thinner thickness than the Apple Watch Series 3, so it's less likely to bang against a bumper plate or a rack. Although the big curved screen could easily take a beating very quickly because there's no bezel. There's no protective edge naturally or organically built into it. So it's got a sensitivity there, but overall I feel like it's a very solidly made device. And then the other positive things is the overall smartwatch capabilities. Like I said in my general review, it's almost like all the other devices I've tested really didn't have smartwatch capabilities. This is it on a whole different level. It's like it's not even in the same ballpark with any of the other Samsung or Suunto or Polar or Garmin, Fitbit. None of them are close to the same capabilities that the Apple Watch brings as far as tying it into the Apple phone. Obviously, if you have a Samsung phone or a Google Pixel or whatever, you're not going to have the same capabilities, but the smartwatch capabilities are relatively limitless. A side benefit that I liked was that I still use a Garmin scale for tracking weight, body mass index, and body fat, and skeletal, all that sort of stuff. But it will tie the Garmin scale readouts for weight, BMI, and body fat directly into the health app, which is great. So you can see it and track it all in one place without having to go to the Garmin app, because I'm not using a Garmin watch at this time. The Apple Health app was in general good for just overall health. One of the bad things about the overall smartwatch capabilities was that it has a bad battery life. There's no getting around it. Just the short battery life is obviously an issue if you want to not have to be tethered and tied to charging it for a long period of time. To date, Polar Ignite is probably the fastest charging device I've ever tested, because it charges like 45 minutes, some crazy amount of time. It's back up to 100%, so it's easy. So if the Apple Watch did that, that would be great, but it takes about an hour and a half to fully charge it, which is, a long period of time. Right now, in the newer side of things, when you first have the device, it lasts for a couple days, which is great, but I'm sure over the course of a year that decreases by some large percentage, and then you're getting, 1 day out of it or a short period of time out of it. The other benefit of the overall smartwatch itself, or the watch itself, other benefit of it is that there's like 18 trillion accessories you can buy. You can buy straps. I got sort of replica Nike band strap for $6 on Amazon. You can get a bumper plate, which I use around it. You can get screen protectors. So the overall design limitation of this big bubble screen getting bumped, cracked, or chipped is not as much of a limitation, because for $6 you can pick up a protective edge, which will create the bezel that's not existent. The bad things. This is CrossFit tracking, and so we want to track it as it relates to CrossFit itself. So from a workout evaluation standpoint, it doesn't do anything special, in my opinion. It doesn't really evaluate your heart rate very effectively. You get a heart rate chart, and I've used cardiogram to get a more clear, specific chart of the heart rate over time, but there's no clear heart rate zones. That's not that's, in my opinion, that's a basic. All like Garmin, Polar, they give you actually exertion readings, whether it's for Garmin, it's anaerobic and aerobic, give you an exertion reading, they give you a recovery time. This does neither of that. It just shows you what your heart rate was, and it doesn't even show you the bands in which you hit certain levels. Now, I'm sure there's a third-party app that probably could accomplish this, maybe even do so easily, but in the basic out of the box, it just shows you your heart rate, max, your average heart rate, and the calorie burn for a workout. That's not very useful. It's not this unuseful, but it's not very useful information. If you're really pushing yourself to a limit, you want to gauge how much exertion you put into the CrossFit workout that day. That doesn't help. So I would say it's fair to bad in that area. From a recovery evaluation to guesstimate how much recovery is needed from workout to workout, it has nothing there. You can't tell this workout was so hard, it's going to take you this much time. And again, you might be able to tie in a third-party app or use a third-party app to track the workout and then get the measures and metrics. It does track to a chest rate monitor, so you could track to a Polar chest rate monitor, use Polar Beat and try to get some of those metrics, but it makes no sense to me that it's got this high-level optical heart rate sensor, at least the EKG. It's just got a more advanced version, but it doesn't give you recovery. And that brings me to another point. So it tracked fine as far as optical heart rate sensors go. So I would say the Polar's at the top of the game. Suunto is a very strong leader with their heart rate tracker on the wrist itself. So it's going to line up very similarly to those. The Polar's got more LED lights. Suunto's got a very excellent one. Garmin, I believe they're fixing algorithms. So as far as Garmin's just straight out of the box on the wrist for a workout, I feel like it has never performed excellently with tracking heart rate in a workout where there's any kind of flex at the wrist. This one did fine as far as overall flex at the wrist as it compares to other optical heart rate monitors, but nothing, it didn't perform exceptionally different than any of the others that are out there. Sleep evaluation, that's a huge part of recovery. It has no sleep tracking. I used the third-party app. I've used that for a while, the Auto Sleep app, which is supposed to be the most, fantastic one. And I don't quite trust the numbers to be true. At least it's reading higher, more significant deep sleep than I believe I'm getting. But you can get sleep tracking, but it's not built into it. So in my opinion, you can't quite trust the level of the evaluation coming back to you if it's using a third-party app. Special features for CrossFit, not really anything, as far as tying in special CrossFit workouts, you can look for third-party apps again that might give you some sort of way to control the watch to, track different rounds, a time per round or splits or things like that, but nothing built right into it. And you have to go research 18,000 third-party apps to be able to find what you want to find. So overall, from a CrossFit tracking standpoint, I would rate it as fair. If you disregard the smartwatch capabilities, I would rate it as fair or below fair compared to any of the sports tracking watches on the planet, especially, Polar, Suunto, and Garmin. Those seem to really track the strain on the body, the exertion during a workout, the recovery from sleep, and those all tie together to really evaluate and help you to know where you stand as far as your growth and your trajectory for growth from really hitting your body hard in a CrossFit workout. So this is the Apple Watch Series 4 from CrossFitTracking.com, the CrossFit evaluation. Thank you.